Yo, what up, nerds? Happy weekend. And it's the weekend, of course, so that means a brand new anime streaming showcase. And you didn't get one of these last week because of various reasons that I do not wish to discuss at this time. But we're back, and we're going to look at another anime that's streaming all over the interwebs. That's going to be a show that I think you could watch. I don't think, if you take modern sensibilities into account, it's necessarily a good show, or as good of a show as I once thought it was 10 plus years ago when I'd first seen it. But if you can sort of excuse a lot of the content that's involved and understand that it's a product of its time, which doesn't necessarily wholly defend it, but I don't know. Anyway, you can make it up for yourself. It's entirely up to you. It's only 13 episodes, and we're going to look at Elfenlied, so let's just hop right in. The really great and sometimes overwhelming thing about the anime industry is there is an unlimited amount of it. Every 3 months there is a season ending, and then there's another immediately starting, taking its place, continuing the cycle forever and ever. Unlike US television, there are no breaks in content. Sure, thanks to websites like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, and various other sites, summers often get packed with must-see TV, making entertainment a year-round investment for some, but is still nowhere close to the bevy of anime series that launch every 3 months. As such, and as one who likes to watch anime, scheduling what to watch and what's best saved for never can be tough. That's why I started this series, to try and assist a viewer with what I could consider a worthwhile venture. I often delve into relatively newer series that captured me and I adored almost immediately, series that are still enjoyable months or years removed. But every so often, I like to think it's fun to dip into the past and rediscover series that got you into the medium. A series like Elfenlied. Elfenlied premiered over 13 years ago, before even YouTube was a thing, before Netflix was ever a streaming site, and before edgy, bloody anime was so passé. 2004 was when Elfenlied premiered, but it would be about another 3 years before I'd ever hear a thing about it thanks to my ignorance and still burgeoning tastes. I was still enjoying these standard anime titles at this time, but Elfenlied was really the first mature, really violent, really what the fuck anime I'd seen next to something like Akira. Akira is a marvelous film, and one day I'd love to talk about it at great length. But Elfenlied has the floor at the moment, and the floor was precisely where my jaw was in the opening 10 minutes of this series. Character Lucy is being held in a facility that is experimenting on her due to her being a Diclonius, a species very much human-like save for horns protruding from their heads. Lucy escapes and rampages through the facility, leaving an ungodly bloody trail in her wake, before being taken down and washed away by the sea, awakening with a new peaceful personality in the arms of Kota and Yuka, who take her in and nurse her back to health. This sets off a chain of events of the facility working hard to retrieve Lucy, now dubbed Mir by her caretakers, and the events and the messages the anime portrays. Messages like seclusion, human divisions, discrimination, even genocidal themes. Elfenlied had a lot going for it, a lot on the surface, and a bit more subdued as well. But the big standout for me at the time was the sheer veracity of its violence. Limbs were sliced through like a hot knife through butter, and blood sprayed like a public fountain. Later on, the series likes to tackle psychological violence through merciless beatings and experimentation ranging from thrashing a puppy to death to outright killing humans and Dicloni en masse. But Elfenlied's out-of-context presentation of super cute, big-eyed girls and characters would almost have you believe none of the violent presentation would ever happen, if not for those opening 10 minutes. It's so cute that nothing evil could ever possibly lie beneath the surface. Much like a series like Madoka Magica, which in its defense started off rather bleak, Elfenlied hits you with cute and disturbing simultaneously. Pulling no punches, many characters will suffer through a lot as the 13-episode series runs its course, but when the blood and limbs aren't flying and being lobbed off, there is a small familial structure slowly forming akin to a harem for Kota. Full disclosure, my competency for harem content is limited as it begins and ends with Tenchimuyo. The genre is really not for me, but I'm trying to give it a go in the present time as I've tried checking out series like Negima and Sugumomo to get an idea of what a modern take could provide entertainment-wise. So far, Negima's dropped, and as was its sequel UQ Holder, but Sugumomo has fared better thus far. The idea of a harem really doesn't appeal to me. In the few instances I've seen, I just don't buy the main characters as these magnets for those fawning around them. It's simply not my taste, but I'm trying to at least experience it. So Elfenlied certainly has hints of harem tastes, but they're minimal at best. These more intimate moments are a great way of showcasing the depth of the various characters, but more developmental bits than lasting components. Elfenlied's pacing flows well, and it's easy to binge the series, barring any objections to the content. On the dubbing side, we have a passable English dubbing team, but it's certainly an era of time when dubbing was still not as cared for as much, and there was less attention paid to. It's hardly unbearable, but I think the sub version is the higher quality and a better route in the end. Moreover, on the audio side, we have the great soundtrack and Foley work creating memorable, stomach-twisting scenes. The sound of flesh tearing and blood slowly dripping and oozing on screen is a work of art in and of itself, and it deserves some recognition. Whether the show still holds up to modern standards will vary from viewer to viewer, but what Elfenlied has and had back in 2005 was a series well aware enough of itself to tackle themes that little else were doing at the time. If you can get past the excessively bloody, albeit oftentimes necessary violence, you can be treated to a strong show stemming with an entertaining plot and characters. And thankfully, since it's streaming just about anywhere, it won't cost you an arm and a leg to check it out. So there we have it, our brand new anime showcase. My new ass is in the can, and it's going to be ready for you very shortly. I hope you enjoyed it. Elfenlied, it is a divisive series, let's say that. In modern day, I'd say it could be a divisive series. There is a lot of naked chicks just standing around. There is a lot of blood, a lot of violence, which could be a complete turning off point for some people. I totally understand that. If you are not into violence in any way, even if it's just an over-the-top excessive amount, it's just not for you. That's totally okay, but this series will not be for you, and that's totally okay. There's a million other shows literally out there that you could watch and spend time with. Elfenlied was just a series that, much like the previously discussed Tenyo Tenge, it was one of my first breaking out of my shell shows. I do think it still is entertaining. I still think it is a watchable show. I do think it is worthwhile if you can get past some of the hurdles that modern sentiments can essentially block off. But I totally get it if you want to turn the other way. It's totally fine. But as always, thank you very much for joining me on Anime Streaming Showcase. This is a bit of a brief episode, but I feel like I summed up everything up in Elfenlied. Actually, what will happen is after I post this and everything will go live and it's post-editing and post-production and I can't do anything to fix it, there will be something that pops in my head that tells me, you should have also said this and this and done this and that, and that's the life. That's the life I've chose. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Brand new Anime Streaming Showcase. As always, take care, nerds. See ya.